Hello everyone and welcome back to my opinion. After losing 5 in a row, the Chennai Super Kings have secured their second win of the season against the Lucknow Super Giants. Let's get into this review video. Starting off with the home side LSG. For my playing 11, I'd said they should play Manimar and Siddharth ahead of Akashdeep. They went with an unchanged 11 and we saw once again today he bowled 1 over and he went for 13 runs. I'd say this again, he is not a T20 bowler. They've bought him for 8 crores because he plays for India in Test cricket. But has he got that responsive delivery when if he goes to runs of bowling a length, has he got that quick Yorker? No. Has he got a consistently quick bouncer that he can resort to? No. And we saw he was out of answers once again when he was bowling that over to Sheikh Rashid. So I'd said Manimar and Siddharth can bowl economically in the power play. They didn't go with that option. They were the same side. And for CSK, there were some calls which they made correctly, which I had mentioned in my previous video, but I was confused by others. Firstly, Sheikh Rashid, Rachin Ravindra was a correct opening combination. I'd said in my previous video. I'd said they should bring in Sam Curran and Vanshbury. They stuck with Rahul Tripathi and Vijay Shankar. When I saw Jamie Overton in the 11, I knew they weren't going to use him correctly. They once again didn't do so today. And they dropped Devon Conway, which I thought was correct because I've mentioned his bat swing issues. On a slow surface like this especially, he would have struggled. They correctly left him out. But they dropped R. Ashwin. Now, as I go along with the review, I'll mention why playing R. Ashwin would have served as a greater convenience today. They would not have conceded as many runs as they did concede, and I'll elaborate on his usefulness as I go through this video. So MS Dhoni won the toss and chose to field first, and for any other side, if he had done this against them, I would have said it was a poor decision, but in this case it can be allowed because the LSG attack, no matter how they have stood up, they've stood up on most occasions this season. However, on paper, you're always questioning as they would do that in this next match, and Dhoni would have seen that, so he chose to field. In the power play, LSG got to 42 for 2. Now, we saw in Chennai's previous match against KKR in Chennai, where on these slow services, when I say you've got to get to 55 for 1, if you lose the plot in that phase, the power play phase, it's very difficult to then come back when it's tough to score in the last 10 overs. CSK 16 for 1 in 4 the previous match. The game was gone then and there. LSG 42 for 2, and a big part of that template is Aiden Markram and Mitchell Marsh get off to a destructive start and bat for a long period of time. Then you've got Nicholas Brown to consistently play impactful knocks. Today, Markram dismissed in the last ball of the first over. Puran dismissed in the last ball of the fourth over. And that template was broken. They got to 42 for 2. And I was confused from this point onwards because you've got the new ball seamers who I've defended quite a few times in previous videos. Khalil and Anshul Kamboj are very good today. Expectedly so in my view. And in the 7th over, they bring on Jamie Overton, who I maintain cannot bowl on these slow services. He's a batting all-rounder. He goes for 11 runs. Then he bowls another over when they've lost 3 wickets. They're looking to rebuild, which I'll get to that in a bit. They're looking to rebuild. Then he goes for another 13 runs, I think, none for 24 and 2. He was bowled at 2 vital points of play when you've gained the advantage. And there was a risk of CSK giving that advantage away had it not been for the overs of Noor Ahmed, who didn't concede a boundary today, none for 13 and 4. And did I think it was a convincing performance? No, he went for runs in his first over, but he picked up 2 wickets, 2 for 24 and 3. So the spinners brought back that lapse or the situation for you from that lapse where you gave 2 overs to Jamie Overton. And from an LSG perspective, David Miller did not face a delivery today. And what I would have done is, teams are thinking like this nowadays, is left-right combination. You saw KKR throw away a match against LSG that they had. Despite chasing that 230 odd, they threw away that match. Why? Because they sent Rinku Singh at number 8 because of left-right combination. He was the one who scored the runs in the end. So in this case, what I would have done is Ayush Badoni is not a power hitter. He scored 22 of 17. And with this lineup, if you get less than the past score with this bowling attack, you will struggle to defend it more than other teams would struggle. Therefore, you've got to at least get to that past score no matter what. When they lost their wickets, when the template was broken, Noor Ahmed was bowling very well, and Rishabh Pant, it says 63 of 49. It was a struggled innings. Remember, at times he played a few good shots off the paces. I think he's only scored one boundary against spin, and especially Noor Ahmed got a lot of dot balls against him. Maybe they said left-right combination, but was Ayush Badoni going to take down Noor Ahmed? No, he wasn't. It didn't do anything for you sending out another right-hander there. They could have sent out David Miller or sent out Abdul Samad to give some impetus. They didn't do either of that, and you've got an experienced player like Miller not facing a delivery, which I don't get why they would do that. You've got to consider the ability of that player. I'm not saying Ayush Badoni is not talented. It's that you've got an experienced player like Miller who I've said in the last 2 years knows how to play on these kind of services. I would have sent him out. And I talk about the impact of the seamers here. Why CSK should have played R. Ashwin? That's because Khalil and Anshul Kamboj both very well in the power play. Those are the two seamers who did well. Then Jadeja, 2 for 24 and 3 spinner. Noor Ahmed, none for 30. Now, which of the bowlers who went for runs? Jamie Overton, none for 24. Then Maticha Patiana, once again, both on the 13th over, another an impactless performance, 2 for 45 and 4. Had they played R. Ashwin to bowl 4 out of those 6 overs, and Jadeja didn't bowl 4, he's not bowled 4 overs in any match thus far, and I'll say this again, his bowling has not been as convincing as I'd like it to be. He got 2 for 24 today. I didn't think he was at his best, so can you confidently go in with him as a second spinner? I don't think you can. Are you fully confident in the third seam because he's bowling at a time where he cannot create an impact? The match is already gone. And is he creating an impact even when he bowls rather in terms of economy? No. So what I would do is you bring in R. Ashwin on this surface and the Wankhede next match where the economical spinners tend to do well more than the wrist spinners. So is it a guarantee that Noor Ahmed will succeed the next match, even though he's got the skill to succeed in any ground? You don't know. Jadeja's not bowling 4 overs in any match, so can you go with him as a lead spinner? No, you can't. So Ashwin has to play. You can also provide the batting at 8, where Jamie Overton is a batting all-rounder, yet he's batting at number 8 and he didn't bat today. There's no point playing him in this 11, especially in this kind of a surface. So what I would do is I'd bring in R. Ashwin for Jamie Overton. I'd bring in Sam Curran for Rahul Tripathi. I'll go through my perspective 11s in detail after I finished reviewing the proceedings in this match. But Ashwin would not have given 45 runs in 4. He would have not have given the 24 runs in 2. And they could have limited this score by more, but they didn't do so. Now on the CSK batting innings, they played the correct opening combination, and Sheikh Rashid, we saw the class that he's played. I've heard rumours about him, and he's done very well in the Andhra Premier League. He has been on the wings for CSK for a while, and especially the flick shots that he played, we saw shades of Rutraj Gaikwad. It was a confident debut. And this is where, when MS Dhoni mentions this, he mentioned this in the previous game, when he said our openers are not some of the players who are going to get to that 60 by hitting 6s in the power play. And it's a metric people have talked about. I think they've talked about it a lot. It's not an essential metric, where you've seen in this case, they got to 59 for 1. How did they get there? By playing classical shots, scoring boundaries. And if the openers are able to do this more often than not, then they'll get to that 59. And if you're looking to get more than that, if you're asking someone to get 65 or so, you're doing so because it's a bowling failure and you have to respond to that failure. But usually if you get that 60 odd for 1 and any 60 for 1 in any service as a maximum, you're putting your team in good stead. So I don't believe in this whole modern game rhetoric, when the reason why they are doing that is because they're usually accounting for the failure from their bowlers, and that's not on the openers. They don't have to do that. Sheikh Rashid doesn't even that after a team that has lost 5 in a row. I thought they delivered a convincing performance today. So 59 for 1, I was happy with the power play. But from there, you've got a case where the lack of confidence from the other batsmen showed. Rahul Tripathi once again dismissed today. And people are saying Jadeja should. In fact, there was, I think, in the mid-innings interview, Jadeja said he could be batting high today, and he walked out at 4. And people are saying, oh, he's an innings builder, he should bat at 4, he can set the foundation, then explode. What I'm saying is, the problem is he's doing innings in the middle overs, because in these slow serves, they played 7 matches all on the slow tracks. Jadeja takes 14 balls to attack spin. Today, 7 off 11, 0-4, 0-6. How did he get out trying to clear long on off Ravi Bishnoi? People are not understanding this at all. They keep thinking the innings builder type. They think because the batting is lacking confidence, should send someone out just because of reputation. It's not going to work on these slow services. And what I'm about to say, would it be an ideal? I'm not sure, but you see the next match, Mumbai Indians, they've not got that spin strength. They'd go with Mitchell Santner, then maybe Naman Dir and Bo Jackson, more part-timers. In a more pace-dominated attack, if Jadeja walks out, is he going to play the blistering striker at the start? No. But in Mumbai, he can set things up for the first 10 overs, then explode in the last 10. I'm not saying I'd send him out of 4, but I'm saying it's much more of a feasible option for him to do that there, given the template at the venue against a more pace-dominated attack, than here when you've got to set that template in the first 10 overs. It gets difficult in the last 10. He takes 14 balls against spin. This opposition is bowling almost 12, 11 overs of spin. And Aidan Markram had not bowled a ball until now in this match. I'd said he should bowl 4 overs, and he did do that. So, despite Ravi Bishnoi didn't bowl his 4th over, I don't know why, I'll get to that in a bit, but when the extra bowler is bowling out his quota, you're sending out Jadeja in this situation, it will not work, and we saw that today. Vijay Shankar, also, if you're sending him out as a power hitter in this situation, especially on this surface, there's no point. So next match, I would not play Tripathi or Vijay Shankar, especially if you're going to play Vijay Shankar at number 6. Shivam Dube started off slowly. I think he was on 25 of 30 or so, then capitalized off the paces at the end. And had MS Dhoni not finished this match or scored the 26 of 11 at the end, CSK would have lost this match. It would have been a demoralizing loss because they were chasing an underpass score against this attack, and he's got 59 for 1 after the power play as well. So, not a convincing performance. But when you're a team that's lacking confidence to this degree, you'd get wins like this to break that jinx. And I have all the faith in Dhoni that he can go with the correct combination. I feel he should make changes to this 11 because he shouldn't do what he usually does and say that we're going with the same team. There is still some optimization left to be done in this 11, and I hope he does that. I have faith in him to do that. So, for LSG, given the attack they have got, you get teams that lose close matches. For LSG, they've got to win all those close matches because no matter how much their attack punches above their weight, in the next match, are you confident they'll do that? No. On paper, are you confident they'll do that? No. And that's why, in this case, Ravi Bishnoi not bowling that 4th is a strategical error. They've lost 2 matches now out of their 3 that they should have won. The first match against Delhi, the second match against CSK. Now they're 1-4, lost 3. And they're in a favourable position than what I expected them to be at the start. But I feel they should have won those 2 matches. And they've optimized their resources well thus far. But I don't know why, given the matchup to MS Dhoni against Rishabh Pant didn't bowl the 4th over of Bishnoi, because people are saying, well, he may say Shivam Dube may hit wrist spin. And I'll say this, when Digvesh Ratty was bowling to him and the previous overs and the spinners were bowling to him, what did he do? He did nothing. Especially when Digvesh Ratty bowled his last over. He was on, I think, 16 of 20. He was bowling around that length. As I said, he doesn't use his feet. He's someone who muscles the spin when he bowls in the slot, when a spinner bowls in the slot. And we saw that Divesh Ratty made sure he hit the correct lane, even though we couldn't score those runs. So, Bishnoi bowled well on the day. He's good enough to bowl out of that arc, and I would have bowled him. I'm surprised they didn't. So LSG, I'd like them to qualify for the playoffs because overall they have done more thus far, given their resources. And I feel something that they should do is not look at this left-right combination with the bat. They've got to get as many runs as possible to defend with this attack. And if you someone who's bowling well, you've got a favorable matchup, you bowl them out. They arguably should have won this match, but they didn't because of strategical errors. I hope they improve on things from the next matches because I would like them to qualify. And now for CSK, the alternate 11. So I've mentioned 2 11s before, and I mentioned a third one because of a new player that's drafted in, although I would go with 11-1. 11-1 being Rachin Ravindra, Sheikh Rashid, Sam Curran, number 3. He can add another seamer for you, and he can also bowl on the power play if you don't want to bowl Patirana on the power play. In terms of batting competition, he's far ahead of what else you've got. Vansh Berry, the explosive Vansh Berry at 4. Shivam Dubey 5. Ravindra Jadeja 6. MS Dhoni 7. Ravichandran Ashwin 8. Anshul Kamboj 9. Matisha Patirana 10. Noor Ahmed 11. Ashwin has to play to be that extra spin assurance in the middle overs, and for if you want to bat him a number 8, he's a bowling all-rounder. So if he's bowling 4 overs, you're batting him a number 8 is justifiable. Jamie Overton on any surface, are you going to trust his bowling? No. Batting a number 8, there's no point. So 11-1 is what I would go with. And 11-3, where they've signed a youngster today in Ayush Matre. Now, I wouldn't go with this for now. And there's only one way you can go with it, and that is if you drop Patirana. So in that case, what you could do is Rachin Ravindra, Ayush Matre, Sheikh Rashid number 3, because he is a number 3. Sam Curran 4, Shivam Dubey 5, Vansh Berry, the explosive player at the end rather than number 4, Jadeja 7, Dhoni 8, Ashwin 9, Anshul Kamboj 10, Noor Ahmed 11, Impact Sub Khalil. And what you could do here is Khalil, Anshul Kamboj bowl in the power play, maybe Anshul Kamboj bowls 2 rather than 3 in that case. Sam Curran bowls 1. Then Ashwin, Noor Ahmed, Jadeja in the middle phase. Then at the end, Noor Ahmed can bowl 1 at the death. Sam Curran can bowl 1. Khalil can bowl 1. Anshul Kamboj can bowl 1. Maybe Sam Curran can bowl 2. Knowing death bowling is your weakest suit, you can manage with that. And that means you've got another frontline informed batsman in Ayush Matre. And you've also got good batting depth as well. You've got the explosive players, confident players in the middle. That's what they could do. 11-1 or 11-3. Will they do that? I don't know. I hope Dhoni changes the 11 because I don't feel it's completely optimized. The reason why I said that if they were looking to drop Patirana for Ayush Matre, it may be feasible is because if they were looking to do that, it's because he's bowling 4 impactless overs at the end, meaning are you getting that value out of him? No. Is he restricting the runs to as much as what you want to? Even when he does do that, it's not helping you win the matches. In the last few matches, he's not been doing that. So you compromise on your death bowling, but it gives you more resources to manage before that, and you've got the gridded batting depth. They could do that, but the only player they can drop, as I said, is Patirana, and they have to play with 3 overseas players. They could play 1 or 3, and so let's see how they go. They've got an unconvincing win here, but they've got a win nonetheless, and I'm hoping they can go on a run. And with Dhoni at the helm, I have confidence they can do that, provided they play the correct combination. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, share with your friends. Remember, this is my opinion. What's yours?